Hey everybody, welcome to another video. This is basically a video just outlining my wish list for 0.2 and what I hope they achieve and do in this patch. So of course they're gonna have new ascendancies here coming along. This is like something good. I hope they bring like new classes too. We need a lot of new content to make up for the time that's happened. Some of the uniques they release, I've looked at some of these. They're pretty interesting. I like the direction they're going with them. This is much needed. We needed more Atlas passive skill tree improvements. I honestly feel the Atlas tree right now is just a complete dog shit, like piece of shit. I don't understand why the league mechanics are locked behind the pinnacle bosses. It should be the other way around. Like, you're doing the league mechanics to get to the pinnacle bosses, but you can only upgrade the league mechanics once you've killed the pinnacle boss. It's actually stupid as fuck. Like, it makes every Atlas tree just so cookie cutter and so boring that like I hate it so much. It's so bad. I hate it. Okay, they're changing towers to basically just be like normal maps. This is like fine for me. They're adding some new gems. So this is a big complaint of mine that I wanted to complain. I feel like a lot of the gems in the game are very like they're just not very impactful with how, like, we have a new physics system, we have a new physics engine. We should be adding way more silly wacky gems that are like insane, but a lot of the gems are just like, oh, flat out damage upgrades or stuff like that. I don't like that. Like, why don't we have like returning projectiles even yet? Do we even have that? Like, I'm just trying to think. Like, we don't even have some of the ones we had in PO1. We don't have automation. We don't have anything. It's just like, okay, come on, guys. Like, we need more interesting gems in this. So I really hope they added some. There's only one gem in this video that I watched I was really interested in, which was the volcanic fissure one. The rest were kind of meh. Some more uniques here. These are pretty interesting. Nothing really to complain about. The main thing I wanted to say that I hope they bring in 0.2. Obviously, we need a lot of nerfs and buffs to the skills. Spark obviously needs to go. Like, that shit needs to go. It should have gone like 2 months ago, but whatever. There's tons of bugs to fix, like especially with that like melee bug with the mace. There's some classes that definitely need buffs, right? Warrior, right? Warrior. They need to fix energy shield. They need to bring more defensives on the passive tree in a more interesting way, because they've taken away health, but they haven't given us back anything. And so what that means is that energy shield is essentially like broken as fuck while everything else is starving. We need to either get like fizz, like convert, or maybe what they could do is armor applies to elemental damage, right? That would be a really good way to make it balanced. Just anything like that. Like, we need more things that just give you more defense, because right now the defense feels so bare bone. If you look at PO1, the defense feels so much better in that game. At least it's more complicated, more interesting, and I understand they have more systems, but we just need more stuff, because right now the whole passive tree just feels like, okay, damage, and then like a few interesting nodes in there. One more thing, I really dislike how most of the meta builds in this game are just stat stackers. Like, every unique that is broken like is just stat stacking, and it's just gotten really tiring. If you go click on any like monk build, any gemling build, it's just stat, like, you just stat stack, like, that's it. And for me, I don't like those types of builds that much, because usually they're not very creative. It's kind of just like, okay, make your dexterity go as high as possible. Like, that's not really interesting to me. Another thing, I feel like there's such a huge gap between some builds that, like I said previously, they're gonna need to nerf and buff a lot of the builds. And actually, one funny, because it's let's just play it.
Welcome to Build Showcase. In these videos, we'll take a look at the amazing builds from the community that have caught our attention.
No spark builds.
This warrior was put together by Struth Gaming.
So they're obviously going for the most interesting builds, but like I want you guys to look at the average spark build, and then I want you guys to look at this build and see like, yeah, that's fair. I'm not saying that every single little thing should be viable and like broken. I'm not saying that, you know. I'm saying that you should at least get something comparable-ish. Like you should have ups and downs. You should, like it's just there is nothing, you know. Let me show you guys.
It forgoes the typical melee playstyle in favor of crossbow attacks, and somehow manages to explode entire screens with a single volley. There's a powerful interaction here that relies on breaking enemies' armor over and over. This begins with the Anvil's Weight Ascension passive from the Warbringer.
So this is an interesting use of the War Master Ascension, but you gotta find it ironic and funny that melee is so bad they're not even using a melee build on like an originally melee class. Like the guy has a huge anvil or whatever on his maul on his back. He doesn't use it. Yeah, melee just sucks so bad. It's so fucking trash. Like I'm just gonna be honest, guys. We need to fix melee. It just feels so clunky to play. It feels so clunky to play. I don't know why. Like we need to just, maybe when the axe tree comes out it's gonna be much better, but I'm honestly not really sure what they're gonna do with melee, because in PO1 the reason it worked is because the action speed was much faster. Now in this game it's not, so I don't know. For it to not feel clunky, they're gonna have to really like think about stuff, because it just feels horrible, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. Basically everybody that plays melee just thinks it's pretty trash.
It causes your hits to break armor equal to 10% of the damage dealt. Let's build the rest of the interaction piece by piece. Firstly, we're using Explosive Shot and supporting it with Armor Explosion. This causes a fire. So
like I said, yeah, that's an interesting use of Armor Explosion. Like I actually like that. So this build is pretty interesting in that, you know, in that regard. But you're gonna see here that they basically just use like they're just using like broken things to just try and elevate like a mid build to a decent status, right?
Fiery burst when we fully break an enemy's armor. Now we add an Herald of Ice, supported with Exploit Weakness. So
Herald of Ice, of course, extremely broken, will get nerfed. And it's just like, I'm thinking right now, okay, Warrior can do all of this, right? Warrior can do all of this. But if you look at like any Spark build, they are like leagues above this, and they don't have to really invest much into it. And it's not even that, like you have monk builds that just do this, that like don't have to invest much into it. And you just start to like, you also have, yeah, like minion builds too, kind of. Yeah, minion builds for sure. And I'm just like, damn, it just feels really trash to play some classes, crossbow and melee being one of them. And I really hope in the next patch that they really figure out a way to just, I don't know, make them playable. Right now, the build diversity is down the drain. If you go on any PoE2 build, it's like Hoa, Herald of Ice, Herald of Thunder. That's about it. Like those are like the two most fucking used things in the game. It's like the same shit every time. Like I'm really tired of just stat stacking. You know, I don't want it to be like that anymore. I want there to be actual interesting builds. In PO1, this is the thing. In PO1, it's like, okay, you maybe had some Lightning Strike builds here and there, but it's like not everything was about Lightning Strike. You had other builds. Here it just seems like there's only 3 abilities in the fucking game, and it's trash. It feels fucking trash. I understand it's early access. but that's why I want them to at least give more, like just add more gems to the game, just add more abilities, fix more things, because right now I feel like there's really not much room for creativity or, you know, imagination in the build department. But that was basically my rant about what I want in 0.2. When it comes out, I'm gonna be making a video on it because I have to. I have high aspirations for this patch because they had some time to cook with it. You know, they've listened to the community, so I really hope that they nerf the really broken builds. Like, we really desperately need to nerf, because it's just been the same shit all over for like an entire month. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, you know, hit the bell, and peace.